All right. Woo. Look. I got that wow. Who wants some hands up right now? We got that. Turn it up loud. I know you're wondering how. I got that wow. Here I go, coming. I can't ever stop. I'm a tour de force running. Get me to the top. I don't need a.
Hello, my friends.
Good evening. Here we are.
Welcome to Three Cocktails In with Amy, Stacy, and Kitty, where we hope to start an addicting conversation truly that is going to take us throughout 2025. So,
Yes.
on that note, how are you darlings doing?
Pretty good.
Doing great.
Kitty,
Very productive day today. Yes.
you're in blue.
I am in blue.
You don't, is blue the color of 2025? Pink has been 2024.
Oh,
Are you
totally.
going
I know.
to branch out?
Maybe I have really been seeking out more color in my wardrobe. So
Ooh.
it used to just be all black. Then I brought in pink. And now I'm trying to do a little bit more. Yeah, I know. But isn't this color fabulous? I got this at Kohl's, you guys. I do a lot of shopping at Kohl's. They've got
You should be looking for sponsorship. Quite frankly, you love a good Kohl's.
I do. And let's talk about sponsorship. So these are my new peepers, and I know the ring light's are gonna mess with me here a little bit, but I have probably 6 pair of peepers, and so I'm always wearing them on my jewelry shows, and I get so many comments on my show. Like if I had
You have a new one. Yeah. When you put a new one on, everybody goes crazy. Yeah.
Everybody goes crazy. I'm like,
You need an affiliate link.
I know. For sure.
Yeah.
yes.
Stacy's staying true with her red.
Yep, lots of red.
Relied on with red. I have introduced in the last year wheat and camel colors
Wheat and camel.
to my wardrobe.
Okay. Yeah.
Cool.
Good.
Great. Yeah. So you mentioned seeking. You've been seeking out new colors. I'm wondering if maybe searching might be a good word for us in 2025. It certainly ties in to what we want to talk about tonight.
Yes. Good idea.
So if you remember, earlier in December, maybe November, we put out, as we always do, hey, anybody got anything they want to ask us about? What would you like to hear about? And our friend Julie says, hey, where do we meet people this age? Where do we go? What do we do? If you would have been listening to any one of the podcasts where I talk about my match life, where do you meet men? Or, just whatever. So we kind of got to talking about how do you meet friends at this later stage in life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, we're not the only ones. It's a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so for once on this podcast, we're going to take a researched, thoughtful approach to this topic.
Researched.
If it's on the interwebs, it's true.
Yes, absolutely.
And we're going to see if we can't maybe figure out, maybe by the end of 2025, if we all couldn't add one solid friend.
Mm-hmm. New friend. Yep.
One new friend.
Yeah. And it's interesting, too, as we've just kind of talked a little bit about the topic and talked about it outside of this, how many people say the same thing. Like, you just said it, Amy. It's not just us. It's not just Julie coming forward and saying, hey, I'm having a hard time meeting new people. This is a resounding situation for, I would say, the majority of people.
Yeah. Men and women, not just women. I'm almost curious, and I have listened to a couple different sources talk about men and their, this loneliness epidemic sort of that's out there. I wonder if men maybe have a harder time than women do with this, but let's see if we can't, figure things out for people in general.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I listened to Simon Sinek and Trevor Noah sat down.
Love them.
Right? I do too.
Yeah.
Sat down and they talked, and their thing was on, it's Simon Sinek and Trevor Noah on friendship, loneliness, and vulnerability. And Simon, from a more, what do I want to say? A stat said, yeah, women are actually better at it, if you can believe it, and men not so much. He even said women make better CEOs than men. And for that reason is because they are more in tune with the relationship in general, which is what you need.
So he said that women are better at what?
Relationships
positions.
in general. Positions,
Okay.
making friends, keeping friends,
Okay.
understanding the, just relationships in general.
Yeah.
Where
And he did say they make better CEOs. He came out and
make
said
better CEOs,
they do
right?
make better CEOs.
They do. That's what he claims, and he gave an example, something to the effect that when he goes out and speaks, women will identify, with everything he's saying, and yes, and I've noticed that, or I understand that, and men will want case studies, like show me the proof that show me the proof how this works, kind of thing. That's the men's mentality of it. So I thought that was interesting. Two guys sitting there talking about friendship and loneliness. It was interesting.
I would think that, I don't know if you guys came across any of this in the research that you did, but I'm going to make an assumption here. I would assume that it's harder for men to admit loneliness.
Probably.
Whereas I'm sure that there are women too who don't want to admit it.
Sure.
It can feel like you could becoming, nobody wants to be undesirable. Like if you're lonely because you're feeling that you don't have the friendships in your life, it's not because you're not a likable person. And I think that's a lot of times how it can feel. That's what we do to ourselves. But I think women in general have got to be better at admitting, hey, I'm missing something here. But it's harder for men to do that.
Well, some of the talking points with that are when you couple up, most of the time the women are in charge of the planning. Although I would also often say that you end up doing things with your husband's friends.
Yeah.
But I think it's still up to the women to plan. So when you're older, or maybe you're not coupled up, or your group has now gotten coupled up and you are not coupled up, and you are a man,
Yeah.
you haven't had to do that before. So, there's just so much to talk about with this. But when you said that you feel like a loser or that something is missing, in one of the podcasts that I was listening to by a psychologist, and her whole focus is on relationships, she made the point to say that you need to figure out what kind of connections are missing. What kind of connections? So many of us have the all or nothing type of mentality. And really, for those people out there, and I'm betting that some of our listeners feel very good about their friendship group. Pretty solid. They're busy. But there can be times when there's that thing that you like to do and nobody wants to go do it with you. Or you are now working remotely. You're no longer in an office. Your kids are now gone. The sporting events are gone. You don't have things to do on Friday nights with that group anymore. So we can think about friendship not as in I need a new best friend that will be the end all, but I have specific connections that I'm missing.
Yeah.
And I think, especially as we talked about our New Year's resolutions and how the big ones just never work because they're too big, I
Mhm.
think if we can look at friendship as connections that are missing in our lives, we could maybe break this down and try and figure out how each of us can find those new connections. Because I think that comes back to what a lot of the stats that we've come across.
Mhm.
Stacy, you had you found a
Yeah.
couple good ones.
Yeah. 22% of people claim they're lonely, which is super high. It's higher than a lot of diseases like diabetes, for instance, or I don't know what else they listed, but that's very high. And that goes to your mental health. If you're, super lonely, that leads to, say, depression, anxiety, lots of other things, health wise too. So, it's certainly an important, obviously, mental health piece to solve.
Yeah. One of the stats I read broke it down. I kind of was looking for people who are like 50 and older. Certainly what we talk about is not only for people who are 50 and older. It just happens. We're going to just reverse how normal media talks about the younger people all the time. We're going to focus, give a little time to the older portion. 37% in this study reported a lack of companionship. That's huge.
Yeah.
And it is so hard. And as the one researcher said, she's like, it does have your mental health, your social health
Mhm.
affects your physical health. And
Yeah.
research has shown that when you're suffering from your mental health, your social health, it is the equivalent on your body to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. The effects to your heart, to your blood pressure, your anxiety, your mental health, those are all the same as lacking social connections.
That statistic is terrifying to
Shocking.
me. It's shocking. That's crazy.
I think
Um,
so. Yeah.
so on the topic of loneliness, there are three types of loneliness. Intimate loneliness, and that is that closest person or people in your lives that you can. It doesn't necessarily have to be a spouse, but it's likely a spouse. But that's your closest connections that you can tell everything to, experience everything with. So intimate loneliness, relational loneliness, that's the friend group. And then there's collective loneliness, which is lack of identifying with a group. Um, that helped me. That
Community.
helped me kind of, to kind of break things down too. As we think about, well, why do I feel lonely? What part of my life is lonely? I think it's important to have that designation of those three areas of your life.
I think that's, as you were talking about it, I was thinking of it in a hierarchy of importance. But maybe you weren't speaking about it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Totally understand the intimate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a little of what I'm searching for. I can
Yep.
fully admit that.
Yep.
I feel really strong in some of my relationships. My friend, you guys, right now, you are my closest, most intimate friends. And poor Bill, I like to joke all the time. I've known Kitty longer, so I'm part of the tripod on that one. Same with Stacy and Barney now. You can let him know that too.
I will
Um,
tell him.
you tell
Yeah, I
him.
think he already has it figured out that I would choose both of you over him.
So maybe you are got to work on the relationships.
Or
What
maybe.
I
Yeah.
am missing is the community.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah.
think that community portion can also be a little deceiving. I think that there are people who are part of a larger community that feel lonely.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
I heard something in another podcast that I was listening to that the busiest people, busy, can be very lonely because they're so busy with whatever they're doing. So it could be a very, say you have a very busy, stressful work. You know people and you like people that you work with and you see people that you work with, but yet that's not the, sometimes not the close relationship.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then you think
Yeah.
like back when we had our kids and they were in 100 million things. You knew a lot of people,
You
knew a
had a
lot
lot
of
of
people,
community.
had a lot of community, but yet no one super close necessarily. Some people are lucky and do have that. And that's the
Mm-hmm.
thing. There's so much time spent, doing these other things that you're not also nurturing or finding a relationship within those things sometimes. And I think that's where we've all probably gotten to is the community piece now.
Do you want to hear something else that another stat that I was just blown away by? Research shows adult friendships turn over about every 7 years.
Hmm.
Would you have thought of that?
You're saying they only last in general, they'll fizzle out in 7 years?
They might. When think about it, circumstances change,
Yeah.
jobs change,
Yeah.
um, location changes. But for some of us, we have the friends that have been around forever.
Mm-hmm.
But now look at the friends you had at the various stages. It's not unrealistic to think that, and research has shown, every 7 years, some friendships fall away, some stay, some new ones come around. So when we look at it that way, when we think about the three levels of friendship, intimacy, loneliness, it's not unusual and it shouldn't, no one should feel like they are the odd duck and it is only them. Clearly, probably more people than you think are experiencing the same thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I would say.
Isn't it? I just hope that people can feel a little bit more at ease, knowing that this is if this is felt by so many, and in fact felt by the majority. I
Yes.
remember walking into, so when I went on my last paparazzi trip, I went on that trip by myself, not knowing anybody. And I remember walking in to this room where there were, I don't know, maybe 60 people. And it sure as hell looked like they all knew each other because everybody was having fun and laughing. And, I'm like, am I the only person that doesn't know anybody here? And I felt self-conscious, and I actually said in my brain, am I going to make any friends here? Will I be welcomed in? And it's just it's a horrible feeling, and who knew that we would still have these same feelings and thoughts at mid-50s that we had when we walked out onto the playground when we were 7 years old.
Yes.
Never goes away.
Yeah. And yet, how long did it take you to talk to somebody?
Instant.
Mm-hmm.
So one person was discussing their ability, and we're going to talk more about how do you go out and make new friends, but they were talking about how when they're away on vacation, when they're away on work, they have the I'm open for business sign. They do so many different things in those scenarios that they don't do at home because they fear, and this is what she said, what if I go to the bar and I'm having dinner by myself and somebody goes, "Oh, where are you from?" And you say 2 blocks over, and she assumed they were going to think, "Oh, well, what a loser. She doesn't have any friends that she can go to the bar with." Whereas when you're out working on a work trip, you don't have any friends around. That when somebody says, "Where are you from?" you say, "I'm from Minneapolis." And they're like, "Well, no wonder."
Mm-hmm.
This is the old internal monologue that we're having with ourselves that is always way worse than what the reality is.
Yeah.
Am I going to make any friends? Kitty, you could not have walked into a better room. All 60 of you had something in common.
Common.
Yes.
You
Yep.
know, you had your opening, you're very easy to at least have that icebreaker.
Yeah.
But, I'm in
Well,
sales. I talk to
yeah,
everybody.
yeah. I listened the one
You
that
know.
thing that I listened to, the number one tip, and like our next episode, I think we'll talk a little more about a lot of things. But the number one tip they said, assume people will like you. So like you go and introduce yourself, assume they will like you. I mean, what's not to like, right? So
Yep.
don't think, oh my gosh, they might not like me or whatever, whatever. And exactly that. Your internal monologue should be these people are going to like me. So you just
Yeah.
go for it.
Yeah. Uh, um, so Kitty, you said when you were at the work trip that you were
Yep.
on, you questioned, will I make friends? Stacy, can you pinpoint a time when you looked around and went, would be really nice to have somebody here to talk to?
Yeah, I think
I'm putting you on the spot.
yeah, I'm not coming up with a specific thing, but I think when we go on with this, you'll soon find the thing I'm looking for, and that's the collective or community thing. You know what I mean? I need to find something, a group. I need to find a group, because I have you two, and I have my high school friends, and we have a, set thing. We see each other once a month. That's that. And I have work friends, but that's the thing I'm looking for. Like Kitty has her, paparazzi friends. I'm looking for the group to join.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
as I was listening to this, that's one thing they say is a problem. You look at our mothers and our parents, they had 100 groups, like Amy, I know yours. I'm not so sure about yours, Kitty, what it would be, but they all had a church group, they had a golf club group, they had a poker group, they had
Bridge.
bridge clubs. My mother still has book club and 3 bridge clubs, and so back then they all did that. And I also heard that it's because they felt they needed to belong to something and not, or people would look at them like, oh my gosh, those are the people, they don't do anything, they never go and I don't know, I don't want to say better than them, but I'm sure was a piece of it. They wanted
Appearances,
to belong,
probably a little bit.
appearances at those times, 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever. So, but that's died off. You
Well,
think
also
about it, we
proximity.
don't have so much of that. Yes, proximity. Yeah.
So Stacy and our families, and Kitty, you were in a larger community, but you lived and worked and shopped and socialized in the same town.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
you live in a metro area, you can work in one city, go to church in another city, shop in another city, play tennis in another city, have your high school friends, all over the place. You have to make the effort. You have to
Right.
start. You have to come up with a plan. I love a good plan, but you have to. You have to. It's again. I'm sure that our parents were lonely as well at times, and
Oh, yeah.
perhaps they were lonely within their community,
Oh yeah.
feeling that they had to go do these things because it
had
was
to go.
expected, whether or not they really wanted to, or whether or not they really felt good about the groups that are there. I don't
Yep.
think what we're talking about, loneliness itself and wanting to make friends, is nothing new.
Right.
Right.
Do think that we're finally talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And like a lot of things that we talk about on the show, we're standing up and saying, we want more. We want more. We want better. We want different.
Sure.
We're not done. I'm
Yeah.
excited to meet some new people, to do some different things that I for whatever reason, this part is missing in my life. I think this is going to be a really good thing that we can do together.
Yeah. I do too. It's a great idea, and I think it's worth noting too that maybe you don't feel lonely. You still might want this will still be valuable to you because there's still value in relational friendships, that relational aspect, the collective aspect as well. Because when we meet new people and experience different things, we learn things.
Yes.
So even if you don't feel lonely, it's still kind of nice to meet new people and say, after an interaction with them, you're like, that was really interesting. I want to spend more time with that person.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
And to that end, if you are really good with your group, have grace for people around you that might be looking.
Yeah.
You're not asking somebody to go on your girls' weekend with the 5 of you. We don't have to go from 0 to 100.
Right.
Did I already say the two scary stats about making new friends?
No.
Okay. To go from an unknown person to a real solid acquaintance, friend, 50 hours, 50 hours.
That's
To
a
go
lot.
to someone you do not know and they become a best friend, 200 hours. Research has shown that that's how long it takes. So this is not anything that's going to happen overnight.
Oh, no.
And we should never feel that by introducing somebody new to our life that they're going to jump into that best friend in 2 weeks.
No.
But also, it's time to start.
Yeah, I agree.
I really liked that stat, especially as it related to me dating somebody. There's a lot of pressure to know right away. Is this going to work? Isn't it going to work? And that to me feels very weird. How do you know after talking to somebody or going out on 3 dates with somebody that this is it?
No.
It doesn't seem like you can know somebody enough to make that sort of decision. And I was really happy when I found that because I think that is, I love a good science-based information. It helps set appropriate expectations.
Yeah.
And as my dear friend says, you need to get out of your own head. Stop thinking about some of these.
It seems like when I said that, didn't you give me double?
I did.
those?
I did.
Yeah.
Because there was a little bit more to that conversation that was there.
Was.
But,
There was a little more.
That's how we friend. That's how we friend. Maybe that is also something, if that's not for you. Eavesdrop? We can talk about that next week. We can add eavesdropping into the whole conversation. But so I think we've got a good task at hand. I think that everybody could use, whether you're looking for a best friend, whether you're looking to add somebody, whether you want to go to a poetry slam and you don't know anybody, let's help figure out how you can find somebody to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that should be our goal. So I think we're going to talk about next episode.
Yeah.
We're
Ideas.
going to talk about and maybe plot out, start with baby steps. These are some things, these are good first steps. And then maybe in another month, we'll come back and say, how did it go? Are you ready for step number 2? So that everybody can participate without having to do it in 1 week.
Yeah. Good idea.
Yep.
Love to hear what you guys think. Love to hear what, are you looking for the intimate friendship, the relational, thank you.
Relational.
Community, whether you just want, to have a new person to tell new stories to, learn new things from, we'd love to know. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
On that note, do we have any shots?
Shots.
I got one.
Oh, good. Go for it.
Got one. I have been watching Hulu because I think I already said I have to cram in all the shows I
Yep.
can get in 1 month before it expires. Although now I'm enjoying it, I might let it go a little bit longer. I happened on to a series called Better Things. I'm in season 2. There might be maybe 4. I love it. It's a mom who's been divorced. She's got 3 kids, high school, middle school, elementary school. She's got her mother across the street. She's got her professional manager. It's all about relationships, a lot of humor, some interesting parental choices that are made, but I am loving it. I'm short episodes. Also, the standard probably 35-minute sort of thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Who stars in it? Who stars in it?
a woman I don't know. Never heard of her. But she's good. You'll recognize some of the people in it because they've been in things before, and you guys know I'm horrible at knowing what names are, but Better Things.
There you go.
Better Things. That's mine.
Good. Yeah, sounds to go right up the alley. Relationships and everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good deal. Yeah, I've got nothing.
Got nothing, huh?
I've got nothing. No.
Kitty, gonna encourage us all to wear a new color or something this week?
Yeah, next episode.
Yes.
Next
exactly.
Episode, next episode. I will not be in black or red. Kitty will not be in black or pink. And you can't be just plain old neutral.
I can't be neutral. Okay.
No.
I got a print. I have prints. I tried to introduce basics into my wardrobe.
You're going the other way, the opposite way? There you go.
Yeah. All right.
Nice.
All right, my friends and everybody else. We'll see you in a week.
See you in a week.
Bye.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Woo. Look, I got that wow. Who wants some hands up right now? We got that. Turn it up loud. I know you're wondering how. I got that wow. Here I go, coming. I can't ever stop. I'm a tour de force running. Get me to the top. I don't need an invitation. Knock, knock. I'm about to start a celebration. Let me in. Brought a good time plus some friends. Turn it up loud past 10.